Hi, this is Cal McCutcheon, and you're watching Patch Turned Up here on Facebook Live. Today we are joined by Joe, and we'll be listening to Help Desk with Joe. This is show number 12, and we are going live. This is Cal McCutcheon with Patch Turned Up Studio here in Spencer, West Virginia. You're listening to Help Desk with Joe. This is episode 33 with our podcast series, and show number 12 with Help Desk with Joe. Make sure to tune in for more podcasts, information, and music. Thank you for tuning in.
All right, welcome to our podcast this week, and with me, as always, is Joe. He's the Joe in the Help Desk with Joe. So welcome, Joe.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Glad to be back.
And we're still
remotely, though.
Yes, still doing the remote deal, which kills me. And I know I mention this every time, but I never really realize how hard it is not having you here sitting beside me in the studio. But I really appreciate you working out how to do this remotely.
Yeah, I think you and I are the tag team that works well together, better in person. I just feel that we usually feed off better for whatever reason. Whenever we can actually see each other and react better in person.
Yep. Well, and it is a good news story in that aspect that you took the initiative to figure out how to do this remotely and walk us through the steps. So just being able to do the show, I look forward to it every week. And I'm sure there are folks out there that listen to these every week that are appreciative of all your efforts as well to make this happen, even though we're doing social distancing and eliminating people from coming in our building here where the podcast studio is. So awesome stuff, and that helps keep these shows rolling, which is we're very grateful for.
Yeah, and tip of the hat to you guys. I mean, I see every day. Well, I've seen, just this morning, you guys are keeping the content flowing for parents and students. Give the parents a little break and keep the students engaged while staying home. So hats off to you guys for keeping that going.
Well, that's having the content available and being able to deliver all that is, as you know, and you've been part of Patch instructors and so forth as well for many, many years. That's part of what we do here in the community as a community hub, so it makes it really nice. But enough of that. Let's get on to Help Desk with Joe, where you work really hard to help people out with the technological issues they may have or their technical issues, and to help out the common consumer along with businesses. And a part of your show this week, why don't you give us the rundown on what we're going to talk about this week?
All right. So as far as news stories go, we're going to discuss if you have a Sony PlayStation 4, we've got some free games coming to you.
Ooh, I just saw Kale's eyes light up.
Google is making some modifications to their Nest cameras due to everybody using the internet. If you have an Android watch that runs Wear OS, you're going to be reminded to wash your hands.
Nice.
And then our tip of the week is tap-to-pay, mobile paying options,
yep,
and why you should use those.
And we talked about that a little bit last week, and you actually had Kale run a test run on how to pay for gas at the pump, not using the card and touching the stuff. So that huge tips there, so more on that. That's awesome. This is a good lineup, Joe. I'm excited.
All right.
And what I really like is the idea behind making sure that everything is positive. This is all positive stuff, so good stuff. All right. Well, let's start off with Help Desk with Joe, item number one or news story number one, and let's get into these Sony PlayStation 4 games, because I know it's killing Kale over here. He's just dying to see what games he's going to have for free to play here soon.
I know, free stuff.
All right.
He's all about the free stuff. Now that you turned him towards the pay at the pump and he's redeeming points. That's what we were talking about before the show started. I don't even know that he knows what he's redeeming points for, but he's excited about it.
There you go. See, I'm starting to get back in Kale's good graces. Yeah.
Keep the producer happy. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm still trying to recover from the whole hotspot conundrum that he still has to do his homework.
Yeah. All right, well, PlayStation 4, what are they sending out for these yahoos?
Okay, so Sony announced yesterday that starting tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, they're going to make all PlayStation, it's going to be available for all PlayStation 4 owners. So literally all you have to have is a PlayStation 4 that connects to the internet and then probably a PlayStation Network login. You don't have to have the paid PlayStation subscription or anything like that. Yeah. They are going to offer Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection, which is rated T for teen, and then the game Journey, which is rated E for everyone, for free, absolutely free. There's no gotchas, no gimmicks, no hidden fees or anything.
Huh. Well, Kale, are you familiar with those two games?
I'd never heard of Journey, but Trevor said Uncharted's good.
Okay, so Trevor, one of our other employees that work for us, one of the students, is Trevor. So he'll be happy to hear his name mentioned. Be excited about that. But so he's mentioned that to you before. I assume as in he plays it and likes it.
Yeah, he played Uncharted whenever he had his PS4, and he told me to play it.
Okay, all right. Have you looked at it at all, or you just?
Nah, I haven't.
You're pretty. I think from what I've noticed, you playing games, you just play the same games over and over again. So this will be a good opportunity for you to branch out. Then maybe.
Yeah, and it's good that you don't need PlayStation Plus.
Okay.
Because if you don't want to pay for it and have the exclusive deals, then you can just play those free games.
Nice. Okay, so that's two good options for the Yahoos stuck at home that are spending probably more time than they need on video games. But it is nice of Sony to roll that out. Joe, on your end, what are your thoughts?
I'm excited because with Sony making this announcement, I'm anxious to see how Microsoft and Nintendo respond to this. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see. Now that's what I like about you, Joe. Having that technological background, your immediate thought goes to the like I was thinking the consumer side because I have a teenager here that plays video games. You're immediately looking at the economic impact and how that'll affect other manufacturers. That's a fantastic point. Continue on with that. That's great.
Yeah, so I'm anxious to see, since Sony's saying, hey, here's 2 free games, I'm wondering how Microsoft and Nintendo, because, at this point, everybody's trying to help out the best they can.
Yeah. And
so I'm anxious to see how the other 2 companies are going to respond with this. And we actually got a Nintendo Switch here recently, so since we actually have a console that's able to be in the fight here, I'm anxious to see how Nintendo's going to respond just personally.
Right. Now, well, speaking of that, since you have the Nintendo Switch, does it make you do you have any emotion either way about PlayStation rolling these out? Or are you like, shoot, I wish I had a PlayStation? Or does it make you say, all right, Nintendo, you got to get on the ball and match it? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, Nintendo, you need to get on the ball and jump in and see what you can do to compete with this. Just from a standpoint alone, this would, if you don't have any of the consoles right now, if you don't have any of the 3 big ones, This would be a big selling point for Sony right now, saying, hey, if you don't have a PlayStation 4, buy this, and you get 2 free games for free.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell what they'll do in the future because they might roll out more.
Right. So now the only catch is, and this is a very small catch, is you must download the games before May 5th. May 5th is a cutoff at this point to receive those games for free. That's literally the only catch they have.
Oh, that's 6 weeks away, though, so yeah, plenty of time.
Yes, yeah. Now, Sony did mention that to help prevent all this internet bog down and all that everybody's been experiencing, they're working with internet providers in the U.S. and Europe to help manage the download traffic. So it may take a little longer than normal to download your game, but that's just to help prevent the overflow and flood of people trying to hit Sony servers to download the new game starting tonight.
Yeah, because that'll hit hard. Kale, is that something, or do you see yourself downloading both of them since they're free? Does that appeal to you?
I'll probably check them out, yeah. But with the, like he was saying, the download speed, they've been a little slower in I play online, so it's a little bit slower and less quality that you would usually get.
Right. But does that entice you, having those 2 games for free, does that entice you to say, all right, at 11 o'clock tonight, I'm going to try to start downloading those?
Probably.
Okay. All right, well, their plan is working then. A teenager right here, a 16-year-old, is already got his plan in place to grab up 2 free games. Okay. Well, that's good on Sony's part. Okay. Good for them to take advantage of the situation and roll out something. I'll say, as a parent, I'm like, more video game time. I don't know. I feel like kids are spending a lot of time inside as it is, with our weather jumping around here in West Virginia, especially. But it is nice. That is a good. It's probably somebody somewhere added it up to where it'll pay off financially for them. But it is
right.
Good.
Like their PS5's getting ready to come out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they released the controller design, I think, earlier this week or later last week.
Okay, so getting ready to come out with PS5. Interesting.
And then Xbox is making their new one, but it's big. Like, it's a big box, and it's not, like, sleek or anything like the PS4 and the PS5 are going to be.
By golly, Joey's trying to steal your job.
Hey, I'm listening. He is right on with what the information he's provided. He's 100% accurate on all of it, so I'm just letting him roll.
Is he messing up next week's show? Is that the problem here? Come on, Gail, you're killing me. That was next week's show. Okay. All right, well, good kudos on PS4, and Joe, good luck with your Nintendo Switch. Hopefully they'll throw out something for those users, and the same with Xbox.
Yeah, hopefully next week I'll have 2 more stories, one from Microsoft and one from Nintendo, saying how they react to this.
Nice. Okay. Well, on to story number 2, and this deals with Google's Nest cameras. Fill us in on the scoop there.
Okay, so Google is doing their part to help slow down the bottlenecking and overflow and surge of internet data that we've been discussing almost relentlessly here for the last few weeks. And if you own a Google Nest Cam, what they're going to do is they're going to push out an update over the next couple of days that is actually going to, by default, turn down your video recording quality settings. It's not going to completely turn it to where it's completely unbearably viewable, but they're going to turn those down by default to help slow down the data transmission on their part.
Right. Help everybody by decreasing quality just enough, but yet not too much. That makes sense.
Right.
I mean, there's such a huge push for quality that I almost feel like it's overboard, but I feel like there's room there without making people say, well, this stinks. It's just not as good a quality as you want. I think that it's a decent compromise.
Right. Now, Google isn't putting this in as a hard, you have to stay at this setting. A lot of people are starting to buck it and really causing uproar, saying you're overstepping your bounds by doing this. Google's saying, look, we're just doing this as a precautionary measure. If you want to go back to the full settings, you can go log into your Nest app and actually just kick it back to full quality to whatever setting you had before. This is not a hard set that Google's saying that you have to stay at. This is just a recommendation that they're trying. If you like it, that's fine. If not, you can freely go back to where you was at.
Yeah, well, that's good. Again, another positive view on how everything's being affected by so many people on the internet now that weren't previously, especially the kids. And again, if you're one of those folks that say, why is that? The easiest explanation you gave me a couple weeks ago is the schools take their own bandwidth off of the consumer. When the kids are in school all day, they use the school's bandwidths, and now that they're at home, they're on the consumer bandwidths, and that's just a unusual load, I guess, or something we didn't realize before. But that's a lot of usage now that we normally all the kids would be doing school day, and workers would be using at work. And now if everybody's at home, they're just overloading the system. Right.
We go back to the garden hose. Everybody's used to having a 10-hose splitter on that one garden hose. Now, since everybody's home, that 10-hose splitter turned into a 30-hose splitter, and now nobody can get any water.
Right. Okay. So good stuff by Google there to at least give you that option. And again, as you said, a recommendation. So that's a good positive. Okay. All right. Story number 3, Android Wear watches, I guess. Fill us in on the changes there. That sounds exciting. I have a Samsung Wear watch. I like it.
So if you have an Android watch that runs the Wear OS operating system, and I'm not sure if Samsung, I know that Samsung is Android, so they have a version of Wear OS, but as far as where this update falls into place, I'm not sure.
Okay. I'll find out and let you know next week, because I have mine. I don't wear it as much throughout the day now, but I used to wear it quite a bit, and I know it's the Wear software.
Okay. So
mine's older, so I don't know.
Wear OS is pushing out the update's number 5.4.0, and built into that update is going to be a reminder to wash your hands every 3 hours.
Every 3 hours?
Yes.
Nice.
That's to help users to get in the habit of washing their hands more often.
Oh, yeah.
And once you And once it reminds you, it'll actually start a 40-second timer to time you to how long you wash your hands. CDC is recommending everybody wash their hands at least 20 seconds. So Wear OS is doubling that to make sure you properly and thoroughly wash your hands.
That is, I really like that because I have the watch, and excuse me, when I do wear it and I sit around a lot, I would, it had a twist feature, an exercise feature, and it'd say you've been idle for the last hour, do some twists or get up and stretch. It would give me those reminders, and I really appreciated that because I would lose track of time. When I was working on any of my grant documents or anything like that, I would just put my head down and get to work, and I would lose track of time going by and how many hours or minutes that I had spent where just sitting idle. And that was a great reminder for me. And a lot of times I'd be like, really, I've been sitting still for an hour, and I just didn't realize. So, man, that's exciting.
Yeah, and it's actually the part of the notification they're going to insist that you use actually soap and water, not just use hand sanitizer or just run water under your hands. They're actually trying to make sure that you use proper hand washing methods.
Yeah, and that's for everybody out there. Alden Baker did a nice little. No, it's not Alden Baker. Alden, the cooking guy, whatever his name is. And then Emily Candarelli, the Space Gal, and you can catch her on Instagram at the Space Gal. She is a WVU graduate that works with NASA and does all kinds of amazing stuff. She's been contributing videos to our patch feed as well. She did one on why it's important to wash your hands with a bar of soap specifically, and how the germ killer, Germ-X or whatever you want to call it, hand sanitizers, do an okay job, but it's way more preferable to wash your hands with a bar of soap. Because think about the hand sanitizer part. You put on your... Oh, sorry. I'm talking with my hands, Joe, and you're not even here to see it. I feel cheated. But she was talking about how when you wash your hands, you put soap on it. The soap strips the coating away from the COVID-19 virus, and then it also splits it up, because the soap has whatever molecules to it that goes in and attacks it and splits it up. And then when you rinse your hands, like, it doesn't matter if it's hot or cold water, but the whole point is when you rinse your hands, the COVID virus is stuck to the soap molecules, and the soap runs it off your hands and down the drain. And then it's also dead as well, which helps because it peels the coat off the COVID virus and causes it to start to die. Now, when you get hand sanitizer, you squirt it on your hands, you wipe it around, but it doesn't get washed away. It stays there. So even though the COVID virus might be dead and or dying, it's still on your hands. And not to say that it would do anything, but just if you happen to miss some of it, under your fingernails or a part of your hand that you didn't get sanitizer on, you have a better chance of washing it off with soap and water under running water than you would with hand sanitizers that just stays there and dries, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So and the moral of the story is wash your hands with a bar of soap and rinse them good, because that's what washes away the virus molecules. And I'm not by any means a health expert or a science expert. I'm just regurgitating what Emily had put out in one of her videos, and Alden, the guy that does the cooking shows, I saw he floated one out too, and it talked about they both matched on their information, and I would say they're both way smarter than I am, so I trust their judgment.
Yeah, that's actually absolutely correct as far as washing your hands is better than hand sanitizer. Everybody, and myself included, we're out and about and we rely so heavily on hand sanitizer. You get out of the vehicle, you take care of your business, you get back in, first thing you do is you hand sanitize.
Yeah.
But actually, I used to work in the hospital for about 10 years, and we always had to do our yearly trainings, and part of those trainings was, proper hand washing methods. And one of the big things they always told us was, hand sanitizer has its place, don't get me wrong, but hand washing always trumps hand sanitizing.
Yes.
So, and it is for those exact same reasons that you gave is, you can fight germs so much better with proper hand washing methods using soap and water versus hand sanitizer, that it's just it's amazing the difference.
Oh yeah, and we've instituted the protocol. Our employees that come and go in all our facilities, first thing they do when they come in is wash their hands immediately for 1 minute, 1 full minute with bar soap, which is weird because we are so used to the foamy soap canisters that are you mount on the wall that we just put the inserts
right.
in. Those don't work as well, and you have a higher chance of cleaning well with a bar of soap. Solid soap. So we went and bought bars of solid soap, which is kind of crazy. When's the last time somebody's done that? That's what we were talking about anyway. So we instituted that and it's definitely me. So anyway, wow, Joe, I'm terribly sorry I drug you way off the path of where you were going there, but we got into health and everything else. But back to the OS app and the wearable. So your watch will remind you to wash your hands, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, when I read it, I was interested and I was excited that they actually made this step into that direction to actually do that. And I would not be surprised to see Apple Watch come out with the same thing if they haven't already.
There you go. So, Joe, that's great thoughts on your part. Again, turning towards how that will affect the actual companies that are in charge of this. But where I was just thinking, man, that'll help me out and help everybody else out that wears them. But yeah, you're right. So the other companies need to get on board and catch up quick.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's not a huge selling point, but it's one of those minor tweaks to go. And just like you said, just from the convenience of, half the day's gone by and I haven't washed my hands. I've been at my desk, cranking out papers and forms and emails and all that. It just slips by you. So just a little nudge or say, hey, oh, by the way, have you washed your hands recently? That may, that can do nothing but help curb this whole pandemic.
Yeah, you're right, because there's no downside to washing your hands more frequently. So, perfect. All right, well, let's move on to our tip of the week, and I like this. This is, in my opinion, a follow-up from last week, so roll it out for us.
All right, using tap-to-pay options, especially during this whole pandemic, and all the benefits of doing so.
Yep. And I will say kudos to you. Last week you got us turned towards using the pay at the pump option with your phone rather than putting your credit card in the slider or the skimmer, which did two things. One, it helps keep you from getting hacked by somebody that puts the little skim module over top the pay at the pump deal. And two, you have to touch less stuff. And Kale used it, and you got my wife Cheryl. She used it, and she liked it. And I was like, by golly, Joe's fixing me up here. My wife's happy. My son can pay for gas without having a credit card. So good stuff all the way around. And I have a feeling this is going to, I'm greedy about it because I'm like, all right, Joe's going to help me out more here personally. But I'm assuming your tip of the day will help everybody out with what they do and how they're dealing with the stresses of having a pandemic running wild.
Right. So it is using tap-to-pay apps like Google Pay, Samsung Pay, and Apple Pay. The way these apps are set up is what you do is you log in with your accounts and you download the app, log in as normal. And then what you do is you link them with your credit cards, debit cards, and some of them will actually let you do like your membership cards or gift cards. Nice. For example, like, so when you have to go to Sam's Club, Costco, and those warehouse stores, one thing they always ask you for you to pay is we need to see your membership card.
Right, yeah.
And depending on the company and all that, and you have to, contact the company for more details, what they do and don't support. You can, keep that on your phone. Because if you're like me, my wallet, if you're a fan of Seinfeld, if you've seen the George Costanza wallet, that's what Cena calls my wallet.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, he's trying to fold his wallet over, and it's like 4 inches thick.
Yeah. Yeah, so me trying to find my Sam's Club card right as we're walking in Sam's is a chore and a half. But if you keep it on your phone, you just open the app and you start swiping to what you need, and there it is. And then another convenience is a lot of restaurants, around the holidays, birthdays, Christmas, whatever, you always get a lot of gift cards.
Right.
And one thing we're really bad about is we'll set them somewhere, and then we'll forget about them, and then 6 months to a year later, hey, look, let's go out to eat here. Let's go shop here. We have a gift card that we forgot we had. But if we put it on our phones, it's right there. So when we're out and about, you can actually use that in restaurants or stores that actually support that component as well.
Right. And I tell you, Joe, you and I would be great neighbors, because this is what happened this weekend. My wife Cheryl went through. We have baskets, so on our counters, and we throw mail in one basket and other stuff in another basket. She cleaned out one of the baskets and probably found 5 or 6 gift cards, and one of them was expired. I was like, holy cow, we just lost $25 because it expired, and it's been sitting in that basket, bottom of the basket for a year. But I was amazed at digging out 5 or 6 gift cards that we just lost track of. So you're exactly right, man. Those get so easy to lose track of those.
Right.
So that's a standing tip.
Plus, if you walk out and forget your wallet,
yep,
you still have your credit cards with you as long as you have your phone with you.
Yep, and I'm a first-hand case of that. We drove to soccer in Huntington and forgot my wallet and tried to set it up without having our cards with us, which was a huge mistake. So we ended up, I think, Kel, how much change did you count out of our van? $20 dollars, I think, right?
Change.
Yeah, so he went through and dug out $20 and change, which bought us enough gas to get back home. And then one of our friends, Josh Reynolds, bought us lunch. So we made it back home without my wife or myself having our wallet with us. But now that last week, you got me hooked up on either Google Pay or Samsung. I can't remember which one I do now, but I do have a credit card, so I can fully take advantage of that now. And if I do forget my wallet again, I'll be ready. So that's a huge tip.
There you go. Now, the next part of it is security.
Okay.
And well, it's one thing I've noticed, and actually speaking with my brother-in-law, he actually is a branch manager at a bank in Parkersburg. He said, and he highly recommends it as well as far as security, because when you run your regular credit card through any credit card processor, whether it's a gas pump, convenience store, big box store, whatever, you get your receipt. It always says transaction with, and it always has the last 4 digits of your credit card number.
Right.
That's one of the things that always makes me paranoid and kind of just irritates, but it's just nature of the transaction. But if you use Tap to Pay, what it does is it sends an encrypted code with a completely randomly generated number, and that number, when it prints off on the receipt, the last 4 digits is not your actual credit card or debit card number.
Oh, wow. So it's taking that extra step of security for you.
Right.
Man, that's outstanding. I'm looking at mine now. I got Google Pay, and it shows my credit card on there as the default and how to turn on the NFC to pay. So, okay, I feel like I'm good to go then.
Now, that is the Tap to Pay feature. You will have to enable NFC on your phone, and that's what actually enables the Tap to Pay feature of it.
Now, do you actually tap it? I mean, I feel like a dumb question on my part because I've never used this. I'm kind of anxious. I haven't been in any stores to use it because of my nature of my job here. But when we do get back to where I go in stores and stuff, do I actually tap it, or I just get close enough to it and it does its deal?
No, you actually tap it. The NFC chip, which is short for Near Field Communication, it is for security purposes and all that. It doesn't have a very big band like Bluetooth. Bluetooth has about around a 30-foot range.
Right.
NFC is inches. 2 to 3 inches at most.
Okay.
So you turn that on, and you actually truly tap it, or actually set the phone on the screen of the device long enough. On mine will actually vibrate, and then it'll pop up a check mark to say that it actually went through, and then you'll see what you use is the machine at the register that you normally put your credit card in.
Right.
If it supports Tap to Pay, it'll actually say, credit, debit, or Tap to Pay, or Android Pay, or Apple Pay. And it literally all depends on the business itself with what credit card processors they use. Our local Walmart, last time I went through, still does not support Tap to Pay, and I think that's just a corporate thing.
Yeah.
But I do know that our local McDonald's uses it, and I think a couple other restaurants use Tap to Pay because we've actually tested it and used it and actually love it. So you get the security of that plus the convenience plus less contact as far as you don't have to touch that credit card machine because you don't know who touched it before you, and then you don't have to run into the issue of trying to swipe a credit card and it doesn't swipe for whatever reason. The strip is smudged or the chip isn't working, so then you have to give the credit card over to the cashier, which is a big germ issue at this point.
Yeah, and that's what appealed to me was you don't have to get your credit card out. You don't have to get your wallet out, so you're not getting out one extra thing that you don't want touched or around other things.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's awesome. Those are big ones for me based on last week's being able to get gas and now expanding that out. That's wonderful. So thank you, Joe. That's a great tip of the week. Again, just doing what you do, helping out consumers and keeping people safe. That's awesome.
Yeah, there are a lot of small businesses, a lot of big box stores that actually use the Tap to Pay. So what I always do if I'm out and about and I'm going to pay with credit card, the first thing I look for is to see if they actually accept Tap to Pay. And if they do, I just use my phone just for the security and convenience of it.
Yeah, and that makes
sense.
Even attempt. Because like you said, it's more secure, if I'm reading this right, more secure to use the Tap to Pay than it is to get your actual credit card out.
Yes.
Okay, because I know people worry, and I'm sure when I have this conversation with my mom, that she'll say, well, I don't know, having it on your phone and whatever else might scare her about it, I feel comfortable saying, listen, this is more secure and this is why. And that's awesome. Right. That's wonderful.
Now, with some of the apps and Google Pay being one of them, you can actually, if your phone supports the fingerprint scan, you can actually link it with that to say, okay, so just in case someone steals your phone, if they try to use your credit card, they have to actually authenticate with your fingerprint, or you can put a 4-digit PIN number on there. They have to know the PIN number on that device to actually make it actually authenticate, so make it less likely for somebody to steal your phone and just start charging on that.
The second layer of protection, and you've covered that in a previous show as well, having secondary, I think, or
two-factor authentication.
Yeah, two-factor authentication. There you go. So that makes it really nice because once somebody gets a hold of your actual credit card, if they skim it, they got the information, they're gone. They don't need a password, they don't need a fingerprint. It's just done and done. So good stuff, man. Joe, that's an awesome tip. So great job again on tip of the week. Fantastic. I'm feeling better and better about using technology as we go. All right, well, if anybody has any questions for you, how they get a hold of you?
You can give us a call at our office at 304-927-3588. Check out our website at amdigitaltechnologies.com, or check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at amdigitaltech for all that. And be sure to subscribe and like our podcast. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere else you can get your podcast. Just look for Help Desk with Joe and Dave, and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. And for all the other Patch podcasts, be sure to listen and check out the Patch Turned Up podcast in the same podcast areas.
Nice. All right. So this week, great lineup. The Sony PS4 free games, the Google Nest cameras trying to make everything smoother for folks, and then the Android wearable OS software that will remind you to wash your hands more frequently. And then, of course, the Tap to Pay was the tip of the week, and that's just outstanding. So, Joe, fantastic job. And I got to say, I don't want to undercut you too much there, but I got to think that Cena's in the background saying, yeah, I did all that work, and Joe gets the glory. But no, you guys make a great team, so kudos to both Joe and Cena here from Spencer, West Virginia, and A&M Digital Technologies. And do what I do. When you have technological problems, go to our small businesses, support our local businesses here. If you're out of state or whatever, still send them a message, call them up. Joe, I know you two do a great job doing the work remotely, especially here with our computers. So I got firsthand experience of that. So wonderful, Joe and Cena both. Thank you so much for another great week of topics and tips of the week. So great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to help.
All right. Well, that concludes our help desk with Joe, and I'll let Cale, he'll get a raise in his title this week. Not a raise in his pay, but just the title. He'll be our executive producer for the day. Kale here, our executive producer, will give us the outro, and we'll complete another show. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Again, I can't encourage you enough to get a hold of Joe and Cena for any of your technological needs. Again, they're the driving force behind all our technology here at Patch, and that's A&M Digital Technologies. And you got multiple ways to look them up. So look them up, let them help you out. And as always, thanks again, Joe, and thanks, Cena, behind the scenes, doing all the heavy lifting. We'll be back next week with another show.
Thank you, guys.
This is Kale, and you've been listening to Help Desk with Joe with Patch Turned Up. Stay tuned in for more podcasts, music, news, and updates from our Patch students. Patch, community and children first. This concludes our Facebook broadcast. Thank you for tuning in. You've been watching Help Desk with Joe. Make sure you tune in next time for more shows.